Campbell remarkably had the yellow cap in round 9.
Why is that remarkable, Mark?
Because he couldn't work out how to log on to the thing and make his predictions for about a month.
That is remarkable. Fair enough.
Neil Johnson picked up the round 10 honours. Colin Render, though, is a big winner as he moves to the top of the league.
And what's going on in the Dream Team?
Paul Wilson retained his top spot after the double header, although it's now second place Stephen Bowie who had the best weekend. 1,159 points in the crapshoot that is pick a team for 2 rounds.
Yes, very good. Well done. Congratulations, Stephen Bowie. Right, that is Super League covered. Let's take a look at some results now from elsewhere in the world of rugby league. Okay then, so to results from elsewhere in the world of rugby league. We'll start with round 10 of the championship. 2 rounds to bring you news of here, and it was London 30, Toulouse 16, Mark.
Yeah, Aaron Smith got in touch. He said, nice to hear from Aaron.
It is lovely, yeah, thank you.
A big day down south today with the first team under 16s and under 19s making up a triple header of games. First up was the championship game against Toulouse, which saw Hendo drop 5 players, including Samet, to reshuffle the pack following some lacklustre performances. The gamble paid off with the Broncos pulling away after a close first half to secure a 30 points to 16 victory against the French. The clear man of the match was Alex Walker, outstanding at fullback, dealt with everything that Toulouse threw at him for the full 80 minutes. Aaron also gave us some info on the junior games, but we don't have time to go into all those. But well done to the young Eels who repped Broncos colours in those games. Dr. Hideous said no scores until the opening try for the Broncos on 27 minutes. Before that, Toulouse struggled to get beyond the Broncos 20 at all, but also defended well when the Broncos regularly got down their end. A flurry of tries made it 12-10 at half-time. The final score of 30-16 is misleading. It was a well-fought game all the way through.
There you go. Dewsbury got their first win of the season with a 20 points to 4 victory over Batley in the heavy woolen derby. Closer affair for Hull KR than they've been used to, with a 30 points to 22 victory over Featherstone Rovers. Oldham came out on top in the Greater Manchester derby with their local rivals Swinton Lions 22 points to 18. Rochdale were defeated at home 18 points to 42 by the Sheffield Eagles, and Bradford were beaten at home 12 points to 22 by the Halifax Blue Sox, Mark. So into round 11 of championship play, Batley were beaten at home 4 points to 42 by the London Broncos.
Ian Gatwood said I think it's been fair to say that this season has not quite been going the way the Broncos supported had hoped for, and questions were being asked, but wins over the weekend and dropping experienced players for academy players was a brave move that paid off, and that was the exciting thing about it. The talent of the youngsters coming through is great for the club and the game in general.
Here, couldn't agree more. Featherstone Rovers were 44 points to 18 winners over my Bradford Bulls. It was Swinton 23, Rochdale 22 in another Greater Manchester derby. Toulouse got a victory, 14 points to 6, inflicting a first defeat of the season on Hull KR. It was Halifax 16, Oldham 14 in a close result down at the Shea, and Sheffield were 48 points to 12 winners over Dewsbury. So what does that do to the standings, Mark?
Well, Hull KR lose their 100% status but stay top. London are back into the top 4 after a good Easter on points difference from Halifax, who also won 2 from 2. It was a bad Easter for Bradford, who lost both games and lost ground on the bottom, as Swinton recorded their first win for some time and Dewsbury got off the board over the Easter weekend.
Into League 1, round 5 of League 1 season play. Coventry were 40 points to 28 winners over Oxford. Keighley Cougars had a 20 points to 12 win over Hunslet. London Scholars beat the Hemel Stags 60 points to 12, a game that Dr. Hideous attended for his mark.
Said the Scholars were asleep at the start. Hemel opened the scoring with a try on 2 minutes. There followed a scrappy error-strewn game. Hemel often failed to even make 5 metres per tackle, but the Scholars struggled to turn their territory and pressure into points, so we're only up 20 to 6 at half-time. Hemel managed to get a player red-carded during half-time for mouthing off at the ref, and the second half was predictable kicking. Final score 60-12.
Newcastle were defeated 6 points to 50 at home by 100%ers Barrow. It was 30 points to 36 in favour of Gloucestershire when they went away to the South Wales Ironmen, Mark.
Yeah, a grudge game really between these sides. Alan Witts got in touch. Not good for the heart, this one. After racing into a 10-0 lead after 5 minutes, it looked like the all goals would run riot. However, poor defence let the home side back in it. That's how the match carried on. Allgold's got a good lead and then threw it away, and just holding on for the 2 points. Great to get the away win when not playing well, and the Iron Men have improved, and I'm a big fan of their setup. God, I love this game.
Okay, that's enthusiasm. And we had something from Lee Randall too,
who said, now that was closer than what I thought it would be after a great start from the Allgolds, going up 10-0 in the first 6 minutes. Then sloppy errors and penalties piggybacked the Iron Men up the field and they got back into the game. After half-time, we really rode our luck at times, but came out on the right side of a game they probably should have lost. Come on, you Allgolds.
Thank you to both of our Gloucestershire fans for getting in touch. It was Workington 20, Whitehaven 24 in the Cumbria derby. York were 16 points to 8 winners over Doncaster, and the Toronto gravy train continues to roll as they were 80 points to 0 winners away at North Wales Crusaders.
Wasn't it something mental like 16 at half-time or something?
I don't know, I didn't see the half-time score. Well, they just keep turning sides over, don't they?
Yeah. Toronto and Barrow stay 100% in the top 2. London Scholars in 6th with 3 wins of the highest placed Southern team. South Wales and Hemel remain pointless at the bottom. Into
the NRL then, round 7 of regular season play. Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs were 24 points to 9 winners over the South Sydney Rabbitohs, Mark.
Yeah, James Graham 157 metres 44 tackles. Sam Burgess 146 metres 40 tackles. George Burgess New Dad 129 metres.
Okay.
Tom played as well, but...
yeah, the Burgess twins got a bit of a spray from Peter Sterling in the Morning Herald. Did you see the article?
No.
He's just slating them. Big time said they should have kicked on by now and been better than they are. I'm totally sure I agree. They've had
George has had some discipline issues which threatened him. Tom's been inconsistent, I do think.
It was Newcastle Knights 6.
George has just had a baby and put up 129 metres.
Yeah. But to be fair, he's not had a baby. His missus has had a baby. You can't say he's had a baby and put up 129 metres. He's not pushed a child out.
She did the heavy lifting on the day.
She's done a fair bit of heavy lifting. She's getting impregnated by it. I'm surprised she didn't need a hip replacement. Right, Newcastle Knights 6, Sydney Roosters 24, Mark.
Joe Wardle started for the Knights, put the nicest shirt.
You're laughing, but I think she's a trooper. It was Brisbane Broncos 24, Gold Coast Titans 22.
Yeah, and Dan Sargent made a surprise return from injury, 129 metres.
Manly Seagulls were now defeated at home 26 points to 30 by the Melbourne Storm. Canberra Raiders beat the New Zealand Warriors 20 points to 8.
And Josh Hodgson grabbed a try. Elliot Whitehead at 122 metres.
It was the St George Illawarra Dragons 22, North Queensland Cowboys. Okay. Sorry, I'll start again. St George Illawarra Dragons 28, North Queensland Cowboys 22.
And Gareth Widdop's continued his really good form with a try and 2 try assists, creating stuff again.
My Sharkies went to the foot of the Blue Mountains and beat the Panthers by 28 points to 2. And the final game of the round saw the Parramatta Eels beat the Wests Tigers by 26 points to 22.
Yeah, the Dragons stay top on 12 points along with the Storm, followed by the Sharks and the Roosters. Raiders, Broncos, Bulldogs and the sliding Cowboys make up the top 8. The Titans and the Knights are the bottom 2 with just 1 win each.
There you go, that is the world of rugby league. Well and truly taken care of. Let's take a look to the future now as we bring you our predictions for round 11 of Super League. Right then, Mark, round 11 of Super League. Now, some of this has already been played out by the teams that make an early entrance into the Challenge Cup, so we've only got 4 Super League fixtures to look at this week. And we start on Friday night in front of the Sky cameras as Widnes take on St Helens. Mark, can you contrive of a way for Widnes to win this one?
No, I think maybe they'll score a few tries if they can put a team together that's played together, but Saints should run out fairly easy winners by the end.
Yeah, no, I've got the same as you. I like the way St Helens have been playing over the Easter weekend, even though they did lose one of their fixtures. I'm going for a quite healthy victory, actually. 30 points to 4 in favour of St Helens. I suspect that this could be the coming together of 2 different types of seasons. Saints' uptick and Widnes' gradual just diabolicalness coming together, and a bit of a heavy kicking for the Vikings, I'm afraid.
Yeah, 36-16 is the scoreline. I think Saints will win it by, so I do think it'll be a handsome win.
There you go. Okay, on Saturday afternoon then, and also on Sky, Warrington take on Wakefield at the HJ. Which way are you going on this?
I'm going with the home side.
Right.
It was the toughest one for me to call of the weekend, this one, and I think there's a chance that a couple of players will be missing for Warrington, key players Darryl Clark and Declan Patton. So after I saw that, after I'd already booked my prediction, I was starting to think maybe I'll go different. But some of the important players for Warrington have started to play a lot better. Ratchford, Hill, like Patton and Gidley are taking it in turns to have good games, but they're having good games. And I think that should see them through against a Wakefield side who have a lot of good things going for them, but I'm not convinced can score a lot of tries regularly. So 24-16.
All right, I've gone the other way. I am convinced that Wakefield can get a result here, partially because of what you mentioned with the players that are going to be missing for Warrington, but also because they've not been particularly convincing over Easter, despite coming out of the period with 2 wins. The teams they've come up against haven't exactly been setting the world on fire, and it was scrappy against Widnes, and it was basically score for score against Huddersfield, and they're not the best side either. Wakey, on the other hand, obviously not pleasing to see how they did against Castleford, but they came out of the game against your mob with some credit. So I'm going to put my neck on the line and go for a Wakefield victory, 22 points to 16 in favour of the away side. Which takes us on to the Sunday afternoon games, 2 traditional times for matches to be kicking off. Hull FC take on Castleford over at the K-Com. I am backing Castleford to get back on the point scoring horse and put Hull FC to the sword in this one. I've gone 30 points to 12 in favour of the visiting Tigers. What do you reckon?
30-16 in favour of Cass. I think that Hull FC's revival against Lee was as much to do with Lee not being able to keep hold of the ball when they had chances. Yeah,
that was the feeling I got. I felt like he flattered to deceive more than anything else.
I can't ignore the woefulness of the 2 games before and the scratchiness of the 2 games that became before that one.
Okay, there you go. Final game of the weekend then sees your boys taking on the Catalan Dragons. I suspect I know which way you're going to go with this one, and I'm inclined to agree with you. As good a result as Catalan had over Salford, coming away to Wigan is a different proposition, and even with your inverted commas injury crisis at the moment, your youngsters and those outside backs just look phenomenal, and if you boys lay the platform that you did against Saints and that you have been doing and working hard, I think you'll have enough to beat this Catalan pack and therefore score more points. 20 points to 10 in favour of the Cherry and Whites. What say ye?
I hope so. I think
Dragons win.
I think the backing up might be tougher for Catalan than it is for Wigan. Even though both teams will have had a reasonable length of rest by the Sunday games, and I never tip against my boys, 28-16, but I do think this Catalan side have really sprung on since they've got that French core working for them. Then the 2 half-backs are working are playing to each other's strengths now.
Yeah.
But I still think Wigan should be able to come up with something.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Okay, so don't forget, kids, you need to make your Super Brew predictions and also make any changes to your Dream Team lineups if you compete in our pools. And you can follow all the action as it happens over this weekend by giving our dear friends at SL Clubs a follow on Twitter. They'll keep you up to speed on everything that's going on across Super League this weekend. Of course, it's a short and truncated Super League fixture out because we got the Challenge Cup back in town. Yeah, have you picked out Challenge Cup tie for us?
Well, I think Lee vs Hull KR is probably the most interesting. Hull KR need to bounce back from the first loss of the season, but they've also been suffering with a few scratchier games recently. And Lee obviously haven't been playing great, but have got a chance to get a few bodies back maybe for this one.
Yeah.
But more importantly, want to exert their position as a Super League side against the underdog Championship side, but I think it's 2 evenly matched sides.
Yeah, I do too. It's an exciting one. I'm inclined just to edge it in favour of the Centurions, but I'll be cheering for the Yorkshire team.
I think there might be an upset on the cards just because one team is playing with slightly more confidence, but we shall see. Shall we? Which one's the BBC game?
I don't even know. Is it Salford?
I honestly couldn't tell you which one it is. I've not followed it enough. It's online, isn't it? It's not.
Oh, of course, not even televising this weekend, are they?
No, it's just on. They've got one on the stream, but is it Huddersfield against Winter or is it Salford against Toronto?
I think it's Salford Toronto. Yeah, it is.
Shall we whiz through the others? Leeds Doncaster. Leeds win.
Leeds win.
Yeah, we've covered Hull at Lee.
Yeah.
Dewsbury Batley.
I'll go for Dewsbury again.
I think Batley will turn it around.
Batley's got 8 points in 2 games. Okay.
I think they'll turn it around.
Alright, cool.
I think they'll want to recover from the embarrassment of being the only team to lose to Dewsbury.
Yeah.
Fev Oldham.
Fev.
Yeah, unless they think about resting players than not prioritising the cup.
I think they'll want the way the season's shaping itself out. They'll want to get through and get a big tie.
Huddersfield v Swinton.
Huddersfield,
yeah, I like